The month of June is behind us. We are halfway through the year of 2025 in movies, and it is time to jump into the 13 new releases that I watched in 2025. This is specifically UK release dates. So, any discrepancies with other territories, I do apologize, but I am Britain. And after a hot month, it is time to jump into the 13 films that I saw in June 2025. So, let's jump straight into this. Clown in a Cornfield. Clown in the Cornfield, I expected a gloriously fun time at the movies that was very hammy, very bloody, and poked fun at itself constantly. It had a great theme of a divide between different generations. It is a hell of a lot of fun to watch. And for me, Clown in the Cornfield, that distinguishedly goes in that glad I watched tier. I feel like it just is missing something slightly to put it up to that physical purchase, but I had a lot of fun with Clown in the Cornfield. The same cannot be said for Dangerous Animals. This one I had massive hype for a Jai Courtney crazy man feeding people to sharks. It was a shoo-in for a decent horror movie. But unfortunately for me, whilst Zephyr is a great lead protagonist and goes through so much stuff in this feels like a very dragged out movie. And the spine of the secondary narrative of this movie is a one night stand falls head over heels for Zephyr, and there are some moments where characters just do the stupidest thing immediately after doing a very smart thing. These Animals ended up just not being for me. Though I will say it is worth a stream purely because I really like Zephyr as a lead character. Then we jump into Elio, the biggest bomb in Pixar history. The film does not deserve that. I do not think it is a bad movie by any stretch of the imagination. I thought it had a lot of heart in there, though there are definitely some shortcomings when it comes to the plot, and I would definitely recommend watching it, especially wanting to support Pixar's originality. However, Pixar does feel like it's going off the rails a little bit in terms of its standing in the social zeitgeist. I am putting it firmly in that worth a stream category. F1, I am an F1 fan. I am a movie fan. This was a collaboration of two of my favorite things smashing together to give us this greatly entertaining movie from the director of Top Gun Maverick. Sonny Hayes, as performed by Brad Pitt, is absolutely glorious as a protagonist. There was an F1 fan. There is so much stuff that he would have definitely got disqualified for that he pulls off in this movie. But I love the love letter it did to Formula One and the whole team, from the pit crew to the mechanics to the pit and race engineers. This is the definition of a summer blockbuster. I am very glad I watched it. I'm not sure if I will buy it on Blu-ray, but I had a lot of fun with this movie. I would still recommend Rush if people haven't seen it. Did How to Train Your Dragon, is it as good as the original? No, it is not. However, it comes as close as you possibly can to living up to your original source material. It changes nothing from the original as far as I could tell. And having the actual director of the original come into this one, his fingerprints were all over this because every character felt true to what they were in the original. But I had a lot of fun with How to Train Your Dragon's remake. I still always say watch the original, but until you really, really want to see it in live action of animation, then I guess this is a good a start as any. This is one that I would say is definitely top of worth a stream for me. Ballerina is again gonna go into the worth a stream. I say I'll put it above Elio because whilst Ana de Armas is fantastic, I don't feel like the studio trusted it with how heavily it relied on John Wick going into it. I just feel like there's a whole lot of different angles they could have taken with this one. It was lacking that true secondary antagonist for them to overcome at one point. But we're going to jump straight into Jane Austen Wrecked My Life. This was just not for me. It was advertised as a rom-com. I don't recall much comedy being in there. It's not a whole lot of narrative in it. It's just a generic, this guy is a bit of a moron, but they end up falling in love with each other. Her inspiration to get into writing again doesn't feel fully realized in this one. It was one of those movies that I felt like could have had so much more. It had some very weird subplots. Like, one of the subplots is the father of the guy she falls for has a habit of walking around with no pants on, and that's his whole joke. I don't know, there's a lot of comedy in this that didn't feel like comedy to me. As a result, it means that Jane Austen Wrecked My Life is in that not for me category. K-pop Demon Hunters, thankfully, despite its anime-esque title and its premise sound like the most bizarre thing ever, it is literally K-pop artists fighting demons. That is the premise of this movie, but it is by Sony Animation, and released by Netflix and Sony Animation, have hit it out of the park again with this one. I watched this right before starting this tier list to pad out the list, and I am glad I did because the themes in this one, you can tie in an LGBTQ theme, you can tie in an anxiety theme, an insecurity theme. There are so many things you could tie into what it means to be a demon and shame and hiding your true self. I thought this was a fantastic film that had a lot of heart, was very vibrant. Sometimes the image can be a bit rushed looking, and I don't feel that's entirely the film's fault, but as a result, it's not quite a must-see cinema for me. Is definitely top physical purchase. If it ever comes out physically, I would happily own it physically because I thought it was that damn good. 28 years later, for me, was a disappointing movie, but I still enjoyed it. It's a weird balance of a film that was pitched one way from its marketing campaign. It's the performances that really carry it for me. I'm interested to see where this film goes in the next two installments. However, the fact it doesn't really stand on its own two feet like the other two do does drag it down for me. This is very much a performance-focused film, which is what makes it a film that I'm very glad I watched. I do feel like there was something missing from this movie. I can say the same for Megan 2.0. Megan 2.0, I can summarize it quite simply. The stuff with Megan and Megan just being sassy and her character and her interactions with Gemma and Katie, great. Everything else, not so great. There is a weird balance. It feels very stretched out. There is a reveal in that final act that I feel really devalues everything we have seen prior to this in the movie. And the two characters that work with Gemma are literally, you can tell the film didn't know what to do with them as they spend a lot of the movie knocked out of commission. It feels very undercooked. There was a much better movie in there. It lacked a lot of the charm that the previous one had. I had a good enough time with it, so it goes again to the worth a stream category, but man, I wanted more from this. The Ballad of Wallace Island is a millionaire pays two folk artists to come perform effectively a private show on Wallace Island. And oh my God, this film is a massive independent surprise. It is so good. The performances are fantastic. The chemistry between all the actors is oozing out there, and it gets very emotional at times and is outright funny at times. It is a perfect storm of blending so many different tones and ideas into what is just a very simple, straightforward film, but I had a lot of fun with The Ballad of Wallace Island. It is must-see cinema for me. I thought it might be one of my favorite movies of the year, which I found very surprising. The Way We Talk, this was a London Film Festival movie from last year that I never got around to seeing. This is a film that really shines a spotlight of what it means to live as a deaf person and the different kinds of deaf as well. We have a character who only communicates via sign language. There's someone that communicates through both mediums, and we have one that communicates through words and sign language. And I love the development of these characters throughout this film's runtime and the struggles they have to overcome, and that sense of division within them communities as well. A gorgeous film to watch. It didn't feel dragged out at all. I love the characters in there. This is one that I am very glad I watched. I'll put it top of that glad I watched category. And then we get into Tornado. I was looking forward to this one. A nice independent revenge tale, but half this revenge is an undercooked antagonist crew. Characters that seem to just stand there and wait to die. Like you can tell it was made on quite a low budget because the way they have the cut around the deaths and stuff, it's very glaringly obvious. I don't know, when we finally got to Tornado doing the revenge tornado stuff, the film feels very dragged out and just honestly very dull viewing. I do know some people that have liked it though, but for me, maybe because I overhyped it in my head a lot, but this is definitely the weakest film that I saw in June of 2025. So that is my completed tier list for June 2025. Let me know how you would rank the films you saw in June 2025 down in the comments below. And stay tuned for more tier lists, video essays, and movie reviews like this coming all the time. But until next time, everybody, my name is Josh. I've been Movie Apprentice, and I'll see you all in the next video.